said, I just wish like I would have done you guys sooner. You know what I mean? Like especially like through my development stage, freshman all the way to senior year. I just wish I would have been on that side of town maybe and then got to connect with you guys. I definitely felt like it would have helped me a lot.
All right. Thank you, everyone. It's Kevin Howell, the One Eye Scout, and you're watching the Watchlist, powered by Tan TV. You know, where we spotlight players who aren't just tall in height, but tall in game, tall in potential. I'm your host, Kevin Howell, Director of Scouting for the Noble and founder of the One Eye Scout. Today, we're talking about a true center, which is rare these days. A 7-footer with soft hands that can run the floor. He's 7 feet tall from Lampasas, Texas, and a name you'll hear more of this summer, Beau Patterson. And he's teamed up with recent guests on the watch list, Mayson Thomas and Traynon on 3D Empire. And he's quietly building a reputation as a big guy who does little things right. Beau, welcome to the watch list, man.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
You know, let's get right into it, man. You're a true 5, a legit 7-footer, but the biggest thing that jumps out at me is that you catch everything. I've seen bigs fumble easy passes or miss rebounds, but you secure them like a tight end. Where does that come from?
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for.
All right, Beau, man. Let's see here. Some technical difficulties, but we were just talking about, your soft hands. You don't miss rebounds, and then you're just getting ready to answer about where that comes from.
Yes, sir. Yeah, sorry, internet broke out.
All right.
No, my coaches throughout my lifetime have stressed to have good hands and catch with 2 hands, and it's just a mindset in the paint that anything that comes your way, just to grab it and go up strong.
And it's showing whether an entry pass or a missed shot, you snag it clean and get right into your finish. Speaking of that, you don't just catch, but you finish through contact. You got a strong, wide base. And what's your mindset when you're in the paint?
It's a mindset. They like to say taking out the trash. Just doing the dirty work down low, boxing out, and you said going up strong. Just having a good base. It always starts with the base, but finishing through contact as well. So it's definitely a mindset. You have to have in the paint, and just go up through contact.
So I'm a question from left field, but what about when you're with 3D Empire and and you're playing with guards like Trey or like a Mayson Thomas, who can go get their own bucket. They've got a physical game in and amongst themselves. Has that been difficult?
No, sir, not at all. They're really great. They're Mason and Trey. They can get to the rack really, with authority, and it's great having them on the team. I've been working on my screening and rebounding a lot more, on 3D and more like the gritty work. And yeah, it's great having those guys on our team because they can shoot it and they can drive in and score. And I love getting them open looks as well.
They both commented on team chemistry, which is kind of interesting in the sense that y'all haven't been together very long, but I guess with everybody having like the same goals in mind, it seems like the three of y'all have gotten going, and I've watched you play, and everybody seems to be headed in the right direction.
Right. Yes, sir. Yeah. Big shout to Coach Sean because he he put this team together, and yeah, as you said, we didn't really know each other, before a couple months ago, but through games and practices, we've really like molded to be a great AAU team. So but yeah, no, it's really fun playing with those guys. As you said, we have team chemistry, and yeah, it's great being on the floor with them.
You know, I like that answer, and something that caught my eye when I watched it last was with 3D Empire, just how you run the floor on every single play. That's rare for a big, especially one with size. Where does that motor come from?
Uh, it's a great, it comes back to that mindset. It's I'm always trying to be the first one on the floor. Growing up, my dad and all the coaches have been with me throughout my lifetime. Have just told me to go as hard as you can, 24/7. And even though I'm a big guy, I feel like it's best to try to get down the floor before everyone else, so I can create opportunities for myself or others.
Yeah, and Coach Doty at Houston Christian, he used to be at Emporia State. That's where I knew him from. But he talks about how when they're doing sprints, the conditioning, that they don't give bigs extra time. And I thought, man, that's interesting, because I was afforded extra seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we were talking about chemistry a little while back, and that chemistry is gonna take you far, and we're looking ahead towards our first live period of the summer. You know, what's your expectations with that, or what are you looking forward to most, or just what are your thoughts?
Right. I'm really excited. Los Angeles and Memphis were great for us. Last weekend, we went 1-3, but it was some tough losses, but they're all by single digits. But we're looking to bounce back for Wichita, and yeah, I'm excited. First live period, and yeah, I'm excited to get back on the floor for sure.
Have you, you know, first off, is this your first live period ever? Or have you been to a live period before?
Yes, sir. I've been last year. I was on a 3SSB team on a 16U
Okay.
on a 16U team, and then I switched to a Under Armour team as well. So Under Armour Rise. So, but I'm with Puma this year. I'm loving it so far.
Yeah, no, and that was kind of what I was getting to. Will you be asking Coach Sean or any of these other guys what to expect because they've all been on the Puma circuit for a little bit.
Right. Yes, sir. Yeah. No, the coaching staff at 3D. They've definitely had a lot of experience. And it's great. They've been. This is definitely not their first rodeo. So it's great having them on our side, and yeah, that they're great coaches.
You know, talking with Trey and Mayson, and both of them being pretty strong leadership wise. Um, what that's kind of what we're looking for, not just talent, but connection and growth, especially here on this platform. But Bo, tell people something that they don't see in the box score that makes you what coaches want.
I really, as I said, coming to 3D Empire, I've been trying to get on the grittier side of basketball, and with that be, screening, to get, guys like Mason, Trey, and all the other talented guards open looks. That is what I've been working on a lot is screening and just being more aggressive, and push not fouling, but pushing people around the paint to where it's uncomfortable for them to score on me. So, but yes, sir. Yeah, I've been working on those, defense and screening for sure, and assists too. Assist on the board. Like I would love to throw it to someone for them to get someone else an open look. Which doesn't really show up on the box score, but yeah,
No,
those three things I'd say are what I'm
I
working on.
would say that you, I would say that you're a strong passer out of the post. Even at the high post. I've seen you whip it around a few times. But one piece of advice from one big to another, uh, the better, it took me a while to understand this, but the better that you screen someone, the more times you're going to wind up open.
Right.
Because when you have Mayson and Trey and you give them a good screen, your defender's going to go help. And next thing you're rolling for a dunk, and so, and remember, man, screening and rebounding get you paid these days,
Right.
and so, but, that's it right there. A 7-footer who runs, catches, finishes, and buys into the dirty work. That's rare. And that's why we're shining a light on you today. But before I let you go, we always end this with a special shout out. Could be your trainer, your family coach, but who's getting the love today?
Right. First and foremost, I'd like to thank God. He's brought me up through this journey, and all glory goes to Him. But it's, he-
Well, I can tell the folks what he's talking about. He's a big fan of Coach Sean with 3D Empire. He's done a lot for him, done a lot with him, pushing you and believing in you, and that means a lot, man, in this day and time. You know, uh, but much respect to you, Beau. Beau Patterson out of Lampasas, big man with an old school work ethic and new school motor. And I'm looking forward to having you come back on after the live, after this weekend, just to kind of update us on what you saw, what you felt, what you're hearing.
Yes,
And
sir.
for everyone else, this is the Watch List powered by Tan TV. And if you want to know who's next, you already know where to look. I'm Kevin Howell, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, sir. Take care.
All right, baby.
Said I was just wish like I would you guys sooner. You know what I mean? Like especially like through my development stage, freshman all the way to senior year. I just wish I would have been on that side of town maybe and then got to connect with you guys. I definitely felt like it would have helped me a lot.